You might think a neck knife with sheath is just another gimmicky piece of gear, something flashy to wear around your neck to look tactical. But for those of us who actually live the lifestyle, the preppers, the homesteaders, the backwoodsmen, and everyday EDC guys, we know better. That little piece of steel hanging close to your chest might just be the one thing that gets you out of a jam when everything else fails. Whether you're out in the woods, crawling through tight spaces, or pinned in your truck after a crash, reach for your belt, forget it. But your neck, it's always right there. And today we're diving deep into the world of neck knives, the good, the bad, and the completely useless. We'll put cold steel up against SOG and even throw in a few of those sketchy Amazon neck knives to see if they hold up or fall apart. And if you want to grab any of the models we test here, the links are pinned down in the comments. You ever been waist-deep in brush, one arm wrapped around a sapling, the other trying to cut paracord or trim a branch? It's moments like that when a belt knife is completely out of reach and a folding knife takes too long to deploy. That's where a neck knife shines. Fast, simple, accessible. The blade's already out the second you unsnap it. Whether you're cutting cordage, feather sticking, skinning small game, or slicing through seat belts after a rollover, this tool is your lifeline. But not all neck knives are built the same. Some will let you down the moment you need them most. That's why in this video, we're not just talking specs. We're putting them through real-world tests to see which ones hold up when the pressure's on. And trust me, some of these blades did not make it out alive. Let's break it down. A good neck knife needs three things: reliable retention, one-handed deployment, and a blade that earns its place. If your sheath doesn't hold the knife securely upside down while you run, crawl, or fight, that's a liability, not a tool. Second, you should be able to draw it with one hand, fast, even if you're lying on your back or dangling from a harness. And last, that blade has to actually perform. We're talking edge retention, steel quality, grind type, and overall durability. A pretty skeletonized frame and paracord wrap don't mean squat if it dulls after a single use or snaps when it hits bone. In a world where you carry one tool close to your heart, literally, it better be a blade you trust. So we started our tests with the Cold Steel Mini Tac Tanto, a fan favorite. It's got that aggressive Tanto tip, AUS 8A steel, grippy scales, and a rugged Secure X sheath that clicks like a seatbelt. It feels solid. But when we pushed it through layered denim, cardboard, and rawhide, it started to show signs of stress at the tip. Still, solid performer, especially for under $50. Then we pulled out the SOG Instinct, a compact neck knife with a slick minimal profile. Surprisingly good ergonomics, but the retention? A little weak. In our inverted shake test, it actually slipped out. Not ideal when you're belly crawling through mud or crashing into a ditch. Then came the Amazon specials. Dirt cheap. Neck knives with flashy names and fake specs. One even claimed D2 steel. Spoiler, it chipped just slicing through a soda can. But here's the twist. Not all cheap Amazon knives failed. One $19 model with a full tang and a molded Kydex sheath actually outperformed the SOG in our retention test. You could shake it upside down like crazy and it wouldn't budge. The steel? Meh. Edge dulled fast, but it didn't break. So if you're on a tight budget and need a backup blade to stash in your glove box or bug-out bag, that one might work. But if your neck knife is part of your primary kit, you want something battle-tested, something that's been in the field, on the belt of guys who live by their blades. That's where cold steel keeps showing up. Not perfect, but consistently solid. Let's talk carry style, because a neck knife's usefulness also depends on how you wear it. Some folks prefer scout carry across the chest. Others let it hang freely under the shirt for low profile. We even tested it with plate carriers and under hoodies. The point is, adjust your rig based on your environment and train with it. Don't wait till SHTF to realize your sheath catches on your collar or that you can't draw clean with gloves on. Practice deployment blindfolded if you have to. Because when seconds matter, muscle memory is all you've got. So what does the perfect neck knife look like? Ideally, you want something between 5 and 7 inches overall, with a fixed blade around 2.5 to 3.5 inches. Full tang. No gimmicks. A true Kydex sheath with adjustable tension is a must. The steel? Look for 1095, D2, or even CPM steels if you're going premium. G10 or micarta scales add grip without bulk. And if it comes with a chain, ditch it. Replace with paracord. That gives you a bonus 5 to 6 feet of cordage always on your person. It's the little things that stack up when you live the prepper life. By now you might be asking, do I really need a neck knife? Why not just carry a folder or a multi-tool? And listen, I get it. For daily life, a folder in the pocket might be enough. But when you're outside the wire, in the woods, on the road, or God forbid, in a fight, access is everything. A neck knife isn't about convenience. It's about survival. It's the tool you grab when you're pinned under. Gear, when your dominant hand's busted, or when you're cut off from your pack. It's not a fashion statement. It's insurance. And for those of us who train for the worst, that matters. We wrapped up our test with one final challenge. A timed escape and evade course. Seatbelt cut, duct tape slice, rope sever, and feather stick afire. The cold steel mini tack came out on top. Quickest draw, cleanest cuts. The $19 Amazon knife held up, but slower and dulled quick. The SOG, still good, but that weak retention worried us. Bottom line, when your life's on the line, you don't want surprises. You want steel you can trust, in a sheath that stays put, and in a place you can reach blindfolded, upside down, underwater, or on fire. That's the promise of a good neck knife with sheath. If you're ready to upgrade your Kedor, just want to see what we're carrying, I've dropped all the gear links in the pinned comment below. These are the knives we trust, the ones that earned their spot. Stay sharp.